Welcome back, squad. Thank you so much for tuning in to Full Ride, the college recruiting podcast. This is your host, but more importantly, your recruiting coach, Kito Delgado. And I want to kick this episode off by wishing you and yours a happy new year. I'm actually recording this episode Wednesday, January 1st. And of course, it's going to go live on Thursday. But I'm recording this on New Year's Day. I'm feeling good. Thank goodness I am. Thank God I'm healthy. I got my family. And I'm ready. I'm excited to not only attack the new year, but attack this decade. That's right. We're in a new decade too. So I just want to wish all of you out there, members of our squad, and even our first time listeners, I just want to wish you a happy new year. And I hope it was really enjoyable for you. So I got to kick off this week's episode with an apology, because I know for our consistent listeners, you have become accustomed to having me release a new episode of Full Ride each and every Thursday. And I had a nice little run going. I think I may have hit call it 20 straight weeks. But then a thing called Christmas happened, followed up by vacation. I don't like making excuses, but please forgive me. Last week, I kept delaying recording the episode. And before I knew it, it was like Christmas Eve. And, I was just running around doing stuff with the family. And then obviously Christmas Day, it was tough because, we have family in the area. So we're going around to different houses. And plus it was Christmas. Who wants to record a podcast on actual Christmas Day? But we really weren't home on Christmas Day. And then my wife and I, just so you know, so I turned 40 in January. By the way, my birthday's coming up January 12th. But I turned 40 earlier in the year in 2019. In July, my wife and I celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary. And then in December, my wife celebrated her 40th birthday. So what we decided to do is we said the day after Christmas, we're going to go away on vacation, just the two of us, without our daughter. Just the two of us, we're going to go away to celebrate those three milestones, and we left December 26th at 5:30 in the morning. We had to be at the airport by 4. So again, hate making excuses, but please forgive Coach this one time. But that's why I didn't get to record last week's episode. We got back, safe and sound, well rested. Really great to be able to reconnect with each other and, just celebrate life. And now, though, I'm back in upstate New York, where it's about 30 degrees. And I'm ready to get to work and be a resource to my parents, and most importantly, to your student athletes who are looking to navigate college recruiting. And in case you need a reminder, you can always find us on @URECRUITU on Instagram and Twitter. Really want you to also subscribe to us on YouTube. You can search URECRUITU, like our Facebook page. And then if you really just want to get in touch with us, you can just visit us at urecruitu.com. That's urecruitu.com. And just in case you need a reminder, it's the letter U, recruitu.com. But I want to talk to you all about, I forgot the best part. I forgot. So yes, I apologize, but I know sometimes an apology isn't good enough, right? You got to apologize, but then you got to make it right, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm releasing 2 episodes this week. That's right. I'm making right by my wrongs. I dropped the ball last week. I'm coming back strong. I'm doing back-to-back episodes this week. So after this episode, keep listening because I'm going to have another episode right there for you. But I hope that helps me get back in your good graces. So, I just mentioned Christmas, and my wife, she loves Christmas, right? And you know, I love it too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, okay, let's turn the calendar, let's turn the page, if you will. It's January 1st. I'm ready to take the tree down, right? I'm ready to take the decorations down, the trees down. Like, I'm not that guy that wants to keep my Christmas decorations up, you know, throughout January. My Christmas lights are going to be down come this weekend. But my wife, she keeps saying, nope, 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of Christmas. I'm like, so our tree does remain up along with our decorations. So, it made me think, and I was thinking about this a lot when I was on the beach, sipping on some adult beverages in Cancun. But even when I was on vacation, I was thinking about my family. So I was thinking about you guys, and I was like, okay, what do I want my first podcast episode of 2020 to be about? And there's a number of directions that could have gone. But I just kind of I wanted to relate it to the 12 days of Christmas, right? And I came up with, and let me back up. I came up with 12 principles of recruiting, right? To kind of tie in with 12 days of Christmas. I came up with 12 principles of recruiting. If you ever go to a job or a workplace, there's usually core values that they have. So I came up with 12 principles, 12 core values of college recruiting. Now, these are my 12 principles I'm going to share with you, or my 12 core values. By all means, I encourage you to steal it, apply it, for your family. Um, or if you don't want to, here are just some suggestions. But I do really want you guys to come up with the family core values as it relates to college recruiting, right? And then maybe get it laminated, hang it up. And I want it to be a big part of your family dynamic. Um, because you gotta live this, you gotta breathe it. It has to matter. And I was thinking about a lot of this stuff while I was on vacation, about goal setting and all this stuff. And I think if you want to accomplish big things, you have to ultimately, you do have to be consumed with it. And I think starting off the year with sitting down as a family and saying, okay, you know what are our core values? Yes, you have your core values as a family, but I'm talking purely now from a standpoint of college recruiting. What are your 12, what not 12, what are your principles? What are your core values? What do you stand by? What's going to keep you guys grounded? What's going to allow you to persevere? Because I've mentioned multiple times in the past, there are going to be some highs, there are going to be some lows. And I really want to make sure you have, a solid foundation so you can, navigate, this whole process called college recruiting. So I came up with 12, and I'm a big acronym guy, right? Acronyms help me remember things. So again, feel free to steal these. And honestly, there are some words that I would probably prefer to use over the ones I selected. And I'll weave them in. But I think this worked out for my acronym. So I want you to write this down. Teamwork wins. Teamwork wins. And when you do that, you're going to see that there are a total of 12 letters in teamwork wins, right? Well, TEAM and then WORKWINS, right? So teamwork wins. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break it down for each letter. So the T in teamwork. So T, the first core principle of college recruiting is talent. All right. I don't care how good of a person you are, how great you do academically, um, how tall you are, how strong you are, you know, how good of a leader you are. Like, there's certain things that you just need to have if you want to be a recruited athlete. And the number one thing is talent. You got to have talent, and you have to do everything possible to nurture that talent. All right. So that's top number one on my list when it comes to core values. So student athletes, now you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do each and every day to make sure I'm developing my talent? And now I don't want to go on a soapbox and a tangent, but I'll just say this: playing a bunch of games is not going to develop your talent, right? Working on your craft every single day, doing drills, studying the game, lifting weights, stretching, just putting in the work on your own, sometimes with a trainer, other times with your team, but really just being dedicated to your craft. That's the only way you're going to get better and really grow your talent. So that's number one, talent. The next one, E. I could have went with a lot of different words here, but I decided to, because it's all encompassing. I decided to focus on eligibility, because right below talent is eligibility. You got to be eligible to play. At the end of the day, when those coaches come knocking, or when you start reaching out to those coaches and they like what they see, they like the talent, they like what they see on film. That next follow-up question is, okay, what are your grades like? Are you eligible? Can I count on you? So within that framework of eligibility, it's pretty straightforward, is, are you handling business in the classroom? Are your student athletes getting it done in the classroom? And I'm just going to even take it a step further. It's not even just so much about eligibility. It's like, to me, it really just shows me, like, how much do you really care about your talent, right? Because if you know you have a great ability, you have these skills that could potentially earn you a scholarship, and then you know that in order for you to take advantage of those skills, you have to be eligible to play. Why would you ever do anything in the classroom to jeopardize that? So if you don't have the discipline, if you can't focus in the classroom, it almost makes me wonder, how good of an athlete are you, right? I'm not saying you got to have straight A's or B's for that matter, but if you start having D's, F's, like, that's when I really start to question, how much you care about your abilities and your talents, because you need to get good grades. You have to be eligible to play if you want to earn a scholarship to college. So why wouldn't you do everything possible to protect that, right? So I could do a whole episode on this. I think I've done it in the past on, academics and eligibility, core classes. But just understand, families, right below talent is eligibility. You got to be eligible to play. Coaches can't give you a scholarship if you're not eligible. It's just really that simple. I went back and forth a number of different words with this next one, but ultimately I decided to settle on audience, right? Audience. And this kind of ties in with social media. But recruits, student athletes, I need you guys to understand something. I need you to know who your audience is. And right now, if your goal is to play at that next level, your number one audience is college coaches. Those are the only people from a social media standpoint that you should really be focusing on. Those are the only likes or the only comments or the only people you should really care about who watches or reads, what you post online, because it's what you post online is how you, present yourself to these coaches that should matter. But not only that, the second part of the audience that I want you to really focus on is you need to understand where you fit in as well, right? And I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this later, but part of your audience is, here's an example. If you're a Division II talent, if like you're the absolute, from a pure talent standpoint, height, speed, strength, ability, if you know deep down inside that you're a Division II talent, your audience is not a Division I coach. Your audience is not Nick Saban if you play football. You know, Your audience is Division II coaches, Division II assistant coaches, D3, NAIA, possibly JUCOs coaches, right? Because those are all the schools that could potentially give you, financial assistance, scholarships. So not only do you have to recognize that your friends aren't your audience, it's college coaches, but then you have to realize which college coaches are fit that mold. And that's really where, through my coaching, I do help families really identify who their key target audience is. But just know in general, your audience is definitely your college coaches. Okay. M, right? So we're going down teamwork wins. So the M um, is market yourself. And another way of me saying this, I really want to be able to say is be proactive. Be proactive and reach out. But, because of the acronym, I went with market yourself. But basically, what that means is you have to go out and put yourself out there. You have to reach out to college coaches. You got to be very proactive in that. But then, in addition to that, another part of marketing yourself is, again, putting content out on social media, presenting yourself in a way that's appropriate. Maybe starting a YouTube channel and highlight and uploading different clips of you working out, or your highlight film. That's marketing yourself. Calling coaches, going to college camps. College camps and tournaments. That's marketing yourself, right? But again, as you're marketing yourself, it all goes back to identifying your right audience, right? Because again, going to the initial example I gave, if you're a Division II talent, you have no business going to a camp that's run by a Division I team, because they're going to take your money. They're happily taking money. They're going to say, yes, you can come to our camp, but ultimately they aren't going to give you any scholarship money. They're not going to give you any aid. So I really believe the audience and marketing yourself, they go hand in hand. Just like talent and eligibility, they go hand in hand. So far we've gotten through team, talent, eligibility, audience, market yourself. Now, the work, right? I had a lot of different ones I could have went with, but I decided to, and I've talked about this before, but this is where I need my student athletes to know your why. Your why. In other words, what's your mission? Why do you want to play in college? Who or what are you doing this for? And only you can answer that question. I could literally talk for hours on this. And this is something that I do when I do visit schools and, I talk with teams. I really do hammer home this point about, understanding that this is bigger than you. Your family members are counting on you. But at the end of the day, it has to matter to you. You have to know deep down inside that there's a reason why you want to play in college. There's a reason why you want to go to college, but then there's a reason why you want to play sports in college. And I really need you guys to identify that why, because once you do that, it's going to be really hard for you to quit on yourselves and give up during this process. But a lot of families, a lot of student athletes, they throw in the towel, they give up when things don't go their way. And I think a lot of times it's because they're not anchored in their why. They're not anchored in their mission. So that's a big part of this. Families, I really encourage you to really sit down and have this conversation. And parents, you can help your student athletes talk through this, right? Don't give them the answers. Don't tell them what they should think, but help pull that out of them. But why? All right. The O is you got to be open-minded. I think, I was, and I think this comes a lot to do with parents. I think you guys got to really set the example with this one. And I'll give you a quick story. I'm gonna actually post it on my social media page, my personal page. But I was, at the beach. I was talking to a family. We were just kind of hanging out, and we were getting to know each other. And then he said, "Yeah, we're a hockey family." I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, all of our kids, they've played hockey. Um, we have a daughter right now. She plays hockey in college." I said, "Oh, that's cool." And he follows it up though, and he says, "I mean, it's only D3." And I was like, "What?" Like, I did my best to kind of to hide my, disappointment in a father saying that about his daughter. But I kid you not, he says, and he's a great guy. Got to know him pretty well, and I'm a big fan of him. But I just thought in that particular moment, he when he said, "Yeah, my daughter, she plays hockey in college," and I congratulated him, and he says, "Yeah, it's only D3." So I just paused and I said to him in a very polite manner, I was like, "Sir, my man, I'll be honest. Like I was fortunate. Yes, I played Division 1 football, got a full scholarship and all that, and it was great. But 20 years later, I'll be honest, no one cares. Like really, it's like no one, employers don't care, your friends don't care, your spouse doesn't care, your kids don't care. Like at the end of the day, the further and further removed you get from college and playing in college, no one cares what level you played. Your daughter's future employer, they're not going to care that she played Division 3. They're only going to care that she played, and they're going to value the lessons that she learned by playing in college, and they're going to value and they're going to hope and they're going to evaluate her based on whether or not she can contribute to their success. Can she apply those lessons in a way that can help their company grow? Right? Like that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. I've been on job interviews in the past, and they saw that I played football in college, but they never said, "Oh, so what level was Northeastern?" They didn't care, right? They just saw, "Wow, you played? Tell me about that." And then I start to tell my story and all that, and the lessons I learned, and how I could apply that to at the job. But parents, going back now to open mindedness, the reason why many of your student athletes aren't open minded to playing at an Ivy League school or playing Division 2 or playing or going JUCO for 2 years is because they've been mainly by you, they've been meant to think that the only game in town is Division 1. They measure success on whether or not they play Division 1. If they don't get a Division 1 scholarship, it's like a bust to them. I see the post all the time. It drives me crazy when a parent, makes an announcement about their son or daughter going to college. If it happens to be a Division 1 school, you best believe the parent is going to say, "I'm so proud of insert name of student. He or she just accepted a division. They're going to be playing Division 1 soccer or Division 1 basketball," and then name a school. Whenever it's not a Division 1 school, if it's a Division 2, an NAIA, a D3 school, they never say the division. You ever notice that? I'm so happy my daughter, she received a full scholarship to Division 2 Lemoyne, as an example. You never hear the division then when it's D2 or D3. The only time parents emphasize division is when it's the Division 1 program. So parents, I want you to be better examples. I want you to have an open mind to your son or daughter playing at different levels, because then when you show your son or daughter that you don't really care what level they play, it will take that pressure off of them, and it will allow him or her to have an open mind to different levels. And that's what this is all about. I need you guys to have an open mind, because when you have an open mind, then you're allowed to really explore multiple options. All right. Whew, I had to get that off my chest, because the guy, he's a great guy. I mean, I really do. I think he's a great husband. From what I hung out with him for like a day, but family man, Just he has some really great insight on parenting because he has 4 older kids. Like you could tell he loves being a dad. And I just thought in that moment, honestly, I don't think he's disappointed in his daughter playing Division 3 hockey. I don't think that at all. I think he thought I cared because I said, "Oh wow, congratulations, that's awesome." And then he felt compelled to say, "Yeah, it's only D3." And he didn't have to say that. I told him that. I say, "Man, listen, I think that's awesome. Not a lot of kids can play sports in college and good grade, good grades, stay out of trouble, manage their time. So your daughter, that's phenomenal." And when I told him that, and I said, "Yeah, and by the way, no one's gonna care 15 years from now," he's like, "You're absolutely right. Thanks for saying that." So it was a really good way for us to kind of bond, if you will. So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. I'm sorry, but I think that has had to be said, and I hope you don't take too much offense to it. But I really do believe that this is where parents kind of sabotage the whole process. It's one thing for the kid to need to get reined in, right? The kid's gonna have these big dreams and all that, fine. But when it's the parents who are like saying it's Division 1 or bust, that's when I have a problem, and that's why I need you guys to be open minded, and be better examples for your son or daughter. The next part, though, ties right in, ties right into being open minded, is being realistic, right? Being realistic. A lot of you guys got your head in the clouds and you have a false sense of abilities. And you got to just be a little bit more realistic. You got to like look at the landscape. You got to look at your son or daughter and not fall in love with their stats. Oh, they or fall in love with, their the local accolades that they may get. Because a lot of you say, "Oh, well, my son or daughter got the the player of the year in our town. They were all conference. They set our school record." None of that matters. When a coach is evaluating your son or daughter, they're evaluating their ability and can their abilities translate to helping their team win games or win meets, whatever your sport is, win matches, right? So a lot of you, I need you to just get rid of the whole paying attention to your stats and focus purely on, are my abilities um, good enough to allow me to play at this next level, right? So be realistic. Too many of you are not realistic, and it's gonna hurt you in the long run uh, as you guys pursue these scholarships. So open minded, paired with being realistic about your abilities, and it's not just your abilities either, people. It's your abilities, but then also your academics, right? Because many of you may want to go to certain schools and you may be able to play at that school from an ability standpoint, but the coach, if you have like a 2.3, 2.4 GPA and you score a 950 on your SAT, that school's may not accept you. So it's not just ability, but you also have to be realistic as far as where um, where you fit in academically. You also have to be realistic from a standpoint of what can you afford, right? Because we've talked about this in the past, head count, equivalency sports, not all scholarships are a full ride scholarship. So you have to be realistic to say, okay, can we afford this school? Even if they are going to give us $20,000, the school costs $60,000. Can you pay $40,000 a year? Are you willing to take out a loan to pay that and graduate with, $160,000 in debt? So being realistic is a big part of college recruiting. And it's not just being realistic from a standpoint of, can I play at this school? I think that's number one. But then you got to look back, okay, can we get in? Can we succeed at this school from an academic standpoint? Can I do this level work? And then lastly, the budget part. Can we afford this? I'm a big believer in stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and don't, go outside of it. Stay right in that path, right? So that is being realistic. the K now. So we're at teamwork, and now we're at the K in work. So knowledge. And when I say knowledge, I'm talking about family. I need you guys to be knowledgeable. I need you to educate yourselves on some basic recruiting terminology. I'm not saying you have to be an expert. You have to know as much as me. Um, no, you don't have to, you don't have to be, no, you don't have to know, you don't have to know every single sport. All you have to focus on is your sport. So if you play football, focus on football, knowing, you know, basic recruiting terms, dead period, evaluation period, contact period, right? Know, understand the recruiting calendar. When can coaches call you? When can they not call you? When can they visit you in person? Right? Understand, do you play a head count sport or an equivalency sport? Educate yourselves on core classes, what they're all about. Understand what the SAT, the ACT, know what the sliding scale is. Right? Some basic stuff. And a great resource for you is the NCAA Eligibility Center. Just Google NCAA Eligibility Center, and there's just a lot of great information on that site for you that they introduce you to a number of the terms. You can also just go to our website, urecruitu.com, and then in the top of the page, there's a recruiting 101 tab. Click on that tab, and it kind of has a lot of information there for you. But there's no excuse for you not to have some basic understanding of college recruiting. Don't go into this thing blind. And now I've mentioned this in the past, but listening to this podcast each and every week, that definitely helps you with the educational piece. But I do believe that many of you may still need some additional handholding. And that's why I invite you to sign up for our classes, our coaching program, Study Hall. I'm not going to turn this into a commercial, I promise you, but I really do encourage you to give consideration to Study Hall, because you can get that one-on-one coaching from myself. I can answer your questions, and I can really help educate you, on the ins and outs of college recruiting. So knowledge, that's really big. Knowledge is power. More powerful though is applied knowledge. So I want you to take the knowledge, I want you to take the education that you learn along the way and then apply it. All right. So work hard. We have four more. I'm sorry. Work hard. I meant to say knowledge. But the next one though, the W, is work hard. So now we are at wins. So teamwork and now wins. And we're at the W, if you're following along. Now I'll do a quick recap. I'm going a little bit longer this week, but because I really want to focus in on giving you guys these 12 principles, these 12 core values of college recruiting. Again, I encourage you to steal these, use them for yourself. But if you decide to come up with your own acronym, do that too. But it's really important for you to have that foundation as you guys attack college recruiting. So I'm at W in wins, and it stands for, I revealed it a little while ago, work hard. It's really that simple. Work hard. I don't know if I have to say anything else beyond that, right? When I say work hard too, I'm talking about work hard, training, work hard in the classroom, work hard marketing yourself. Just work hard. It really is that simple. What's that term? Talent. What is it? When something beats talent, when talent doesn't. I'll look it up for you. But I forget what it was. But I know you got hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I think something like that, right? Yeah, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that applies to everything that we do in life. You can be this great singer. You can be a great poet. You can be a great artist. But if you don't work hard, you're going to lose every single time. You can be a good salesperson, but if you don't work hard, you're going to lose to a competitor who just puts in more work than you. So for student athletes, you got to grind straight up. You got to grind. You got to be willing to get up earlier than your classmates. You just got to outwork them. And the harder you work, there's an old saying, another one I love. My manager used to say this to me: the harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. The harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. So student athletes, just put in the work. Just put in the work, put your head down, roll up your sleeves, and just be willing to outwork everybody in the building, whether it's your teammates or whether it's your classmates, whether it's your opponents. Hell, outwork your coaches. Make your coaches like, wow, like I better up my game because this student athlete, they working harder than I am. But work hard, right? I was going back and forth on this one, but I'm going to go with intentional. In other words, having accountability, but I decided to go with intentional because I need my recruits to, I need you guys to understand this. Like when it comes to your decision-making process, when it comes to you making decisions, choices, as an example, do I go to bed early? Do I go to this party? Do I study an extra hour or do I watch Netflix? Do I post a fight video with swear words on Twitter or on on Snapchat? Or do I post a picture with my teammates? Right? And when you are intentional and deliberate in everything you do, and this goes back to your why and your mission and knowing what it is you're trying to accomplish, your goals, you are really intentional on what you decide to do. Like for me, I'll just be transparent. A couple years ago, I was the biggest I'd ever been weight rise. So I got really intentional and I decided I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to work out more. And it was really good. I lost 50 pounds, right? Well, now 3 years, 2.5, 3 years later, I've probably put back on 40 of the pounds that I had lost. Just being 100% honest with my families. I put on 40 more pounds. I put it back on. So what ended up happening was during that time, I stopped being intentional about what I ate. After I stopped being intentional about working out. Oh, I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it's only one piece of pizza, 2 pieces of pizza. It's the weekend. And this is just one example, but you can probably, if you're being honest, mom and dad, student athletes, particularly this time of year, everyone has resolutions and everyone starts the year off pretty intentional with their actions. And then over time, you start being deliberate. You start making excuses for yourself. And you quickly break those good habits. You quickly forget what helped you get experience success. You stopped being intentional. So during this recruiting process, I really need my student athletes and parents, for that matter, I need you guys to be intentional about the decisions that you're making. At the end of the day, ask yourself, as it relates to college recruiting, is what I'm doing right now helping me get closer to my goal of playing in college? Period. And if it's not, I really need you to question whether or not it's worth you doing it. Does that mean don't want you to have fun or anything like that? I want you to be teenagers, but if you are trying to accomplish something that only 6-7% of high school athletes go on to do, which is playing college, 1% or 0.8% or 8%, actually get a full athletic scholarships, well, again, guess what? You have to be intentional and you have to be willing to do things and make sacrifices that others are not willing to do. So I really need you guys to be intentional with your decision-making process. And I can just tell you for myself, I'm intentional. I'm going to be intentional about how I eat, how I work out, right? But I'm also going to be intentional about how I run URECRUITU, right? I'm not going to go through all of it, but there are certain things within URECRUITU that I want to accomplish this year. There are goals I want to reach. There are people who I want to really make sure I can help. And the only way I can do that is by being intentional. So whether it's releasing a new episode every Thursday, I'm going to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. If it's posting something on social media once a day, I'm going to do that. If it's sending out, weekly or bi-weekly emails, newsletters to families, I'm going to do that. If it's reaching out to athletic directors to have me do a workshop for their student athletes, I'm going to do that. But my point is, you can apply these very same things for yourselves as it relates to college recruiting. Be intentional. And I've already mentioned this next one, but the N in wins is no excuses. Enough of the excuses. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of making them myself at times, but I'm also tired of hearing other people make excuses for themselves on why they aren't doing this, why things aren't going their way. Stop with the excuses. Coaches don't hate you. Your teachers don't hate you. No one's out to get you. Just stop it. Put your head down, work hard, and meet all opposition with a smile and with some grit. Straight up. Say, okay, thank you, opposition. Nice to meet you. Now it's time for me to just plow right through you. Have some grit, some determination. Student athletes, you guys are athletes. You guys are used to competing. So compete. You see a challenge? Compete. Someone says something about you? Ignore it. Compete. Your coach gives you feedback you don't like? Take it. Acknowledge it. And then compete. No excuses. No more excuses. I think I spent enough time on that one. And then lastly, the S in wins. Systematic. Systems. Right? One of my favorite television shows is The Prophet. It's this billionaire. His name is Marcus Lemonis. He owns, I think, Camper World, or I forget the name of what it is, but he's a billionaire. And he has this show on MSNBC called The Prophet. And he goes in, he meets with these business owners who are struggling, and he offers to basically buy a portion of their business. So he'll say, I'll give you $100,000, $200,000, but I want 30% equity in your business. And then he helps, if they take the deal, he then helps turn around that business. And he's a big believer in people, product, and process, right? You got to have good people. You got to have a good product, but then you have to have a process to go along with it. So if you were to apply that now to college recruiting, a lot of you athletes, a lot of you families, you're good people, obviously. Right? The student athlete's a good person. Mom and dad, you guys are great people. The product is a student athlete. It's their abilities, right? They have the talent, they have the grades, so their product is good. But that final P, the process, you lack a process. You're not systematic. You're not being proactive. You're sitting back, you're waiting, you're hoping, and you expect the coach to come find you. You're randomly going to camps. You don't have a target list. You're not taking the ACT, the SAT soon enough, early enough. You're waiting until your senior year. There's absolutely no process. There's no system in place to manage your product. And then what's going to end up happening, unfortunately, for some of you, I pray that it doesn't though, but it's going to happen for many of you. It happens every year, is you're going to get to your senior year and you're going to say, well, I guess college football or college basketball, baseball, soccer, oh, guess it wasn't for me. And you stop. Not because you don't have a desire to play or the ability to play, but because you lacked systems and processes. You weren't systematic. You didn't treat this like a business. And that's ultimately what this is all about. You got to treat college recruiting and playing sports in college. It's a business, and you got to treat it that way. So those are, and I've been talking for 45 minutes. I told you I missed last week, so I had a lot to say, and I'm coming back right again. But I really think it was worthwhile for me to spend some extra time with you guys today going over my 12 principles of college recruiting, my 12 core values of college recruiting. And easy for you guys to remember, teamwork wins, right? And ultimately, mom and dad and student athletes, you guys are a team. You're a team. You got to work together throughout this entire process. And if you do that while applying these principles, you're going to win. Whatever winning looks like for you, whatever you define winning as, you will win. If you work together as a team, you apply these principles, you are going to win. So a quick recap: talent, eligibility, audience, market yourself, your why, know your why, be open-minded, be realistic, knowledge, meaning educate yourself on the process, work hard, be intentional, no excuses, be systematic. That's what I got for you this week. I am your college recruiting coach, Kito Delgado, reminding you that college recruiting starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn an athletic scholarship tomorrow?